All right, guys, so this is the foldable for prisms and cylinders, and we're going to talk about volume and surface area and give those formulas and do some examples. Okay, but first we need to kind of go over and remind ourselves what a prism is. Okay, so a prism is a polyhedron, and it has two parallel and congruent faces called bases. Okay, so this would be a base, and the bottom would be the base, okay? Every prism has two bases, okay? And in this one, it's top and bottom, and we kind of always think of it as top and bottom, but it doesn't always have to be top and bottom. It can be left and right, okay? It can be front and back. But these are parallel and congruent, okay? And they're called the bases. Now, every other face, so this face here, this face back here, are called lateral faces. Okay, so you have two bases, and then depending on what shape the base is, you have lateral faces. So these are all lateral faces. Okay, and the lateral faces are always parallelograms. And they're formed by connecting corresponding vertices of the bases. So notice, like on this one, you have one vertex, another vertex if you draw a line. One vertex, another vertex, you draw a line. That's one lateral face. Okay, so a lateral edge here is a segment connecting the corresponding vertices, vertices, of the bases. Okay, so in other words, a lateral edge, we'd connect the two bases with a lateral edge. So that would be a lateral edge. That would be a lateral edge. That would be a lateral edge all the way around. Okay, a base edge now is a segment connecting the vertices on the base, as you could probably have guessed. So think of the base as top and bottom. So this would be a base edge. This would be a base edge. This would be a base edge. This. And then same thing up here. This would be, this would be, this would be, all the way around. Okay, the altitude, which we also call height, is the perpendicular distance between the bases. So when I think perpendicular, remember it's a right angle straight up and down, or straight left and right. Okay. All right, guys. Now when it comes to naming prisms, and this isn't in your foldable, but you probably should write a note on there, that you name prisms according to their bases. Okay, so like here, the base would be this triangle and this triangle, so it's called a triangular prism. Okay, this green one here is a square prism. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the base has 5 sides, so it's a pentagonal prism. Okay, rectangular prism, hexagonal prism, octagonal prism, and it goes on and on. But we always name prisms according to their bases. All right, so the volume of a prism, volume equals big B times H, okay? And this big B stands for area of the base. Okay, so I can say that the volume equals area of the base times the height. And remember, when we talk about the height, we talk about the distance, or the perpendicular distance, between the bases. And that should be all the way around because the bases are parallel. Okay, so that's for a prism. Now for a cylinder, now remember, a cylinder always has a circular base, so the area of the base is always going to be pi r squared times h. All right, so let's do an example here. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to find the prism's name. Okay, so here's our prism, this is our base, and this is our base. Okay, so this is a triangular prism. And the volume of any prism is always area of the base times height. Okay, but I'm going to take a closer look at this base. Okay, so this is my base. And the area, I want to find the area of the base. That's what this big B stands for. So I want to find the area of this triangle. Well, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base of the triangle times height of the triangle. Notice my base is 8. My height is 6. And if I put that all together, that's 24. So that's my area of my base. I'm going to rewrite this. Area of the base is 24. Now my height is the distance between the two bases, so right there. So my height is 9. So 24 times 9, my volume is 216, and don't forget that's centimeters cubed. All right, so when I look at this, I notice that this is a cylinder. A cylinder is basically a prism with a circular base. Cylinder, and the volume for a cylinder is always pi r squared h. I got that right from here. So all I need is the r and the h. Well, our r is my radius, so here's my r. And my h is still the height between the two bases, so the height between the circles, which is right here, which is 7. So if I plug all that in, volume equals pi times 5 squared times 7. I get pi times 25 times 7, which is 175 pi, and that'd be centimeters cubed. This would be exact. Or if you want to plug it into your calculator to get rounded, I get 549.78 centimeters cubed. So depending on what it's asking for, there's the exact and there's the rounded. All right, let's talk about surface area now. Okay, so remember, we have two bases, and remember, surface area is like, if we're going to paint this object, how much paint would we need? It's the area of the surface. Okay, so there's our two bases. Okay, and then we have what we call the lateral faces. Okay, which is basically everything else. Okay, so the lateral area is what I've shaded in purple, okay? It's the area that's not the base. So the surface area excluding the bases. Okay, and we could always find the lateral area is always going to equal P times H. Okay, so lateral area is always the perimeter of the base times the height, and the height is the height between the two bases. Okay, and we'll do some examples here in a little bit. Remember, that's just the lateral area. Okay, so the total surface area of this is going to be the lateral area, which is what's in purple, plus 2 times the area of the bases. We have to add the two bases on. Okay, so if I rewrite this, surface area equals the lateral area is P times H, plus I'm going to put 2B. We can't replace this because remember the area of our base depends on what shape the base is. So if it's a triangle, area of the base is going to be 1/2 base times height. If it's a regular nonagon, it's going to be 1/2 apothem times perimeter, so on and so forth. All right, so let's look at this example. Okay, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This has 6 sides, so it's a hexagonal prism. Okay, and I want to find the surface area. So the surface area is going to be the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base. Okay, well, let's go ahead and find the area of the base. Okay, here's the base right here. So the area of the base is going to be 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. Okay, well, the apothem is given to me, so that's nice. And the perimeter, well, it's 4 all the way around, so 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so if I simplify that, that 2 and that 2 goes away. This is just 24 square root of 3. Okay, so that's my big B. Okay, that's my 2 bases. So my lateral area is, I find that by the perimeter of my base times the height. So the perimeter of my base, I've already found, guys, is 24 times my height, which is right here, which is 2. So this is 48 plus 48 square root of 3. That would be exact. Ooh, can't spell. And that would be centimeters squared. Or if you wanted to put that into your calculator, you'd get roughly 131.14 centimeters squared. All right, so here I have my cylinder. Okay, so the surface area of my cylinder is always going to be my lateral area plus my 2 bases. Okay, I'm actually going to go back to this. So for a cylinder, I want my lateral area plus 2 times the area of my bases. Okay, well, the area of my base is pi r squared. That's how you find the area of any circle, so 2 pi r squared. And my lateral area, think the perimeter of the base when it's a circle is just the circumference, right, times my height. This is the surface area of a cylinder. Okay, and remember circumference is 2 pi r. All right, so let's go back to this. So the lateral area is the circumference times the height plus 2 times the area of my base, which is pi r squared. Okay, well, here's my radius. So 15, 2 pi times 15. My height is 12. 2 pi times 15 squared. So this is 360 pi plus 450 pi. So exact answer would be 810 pi centimeters squared, or if you want to round that, 2544.69 centimeters squared.